Oh, well, you do have to admit it, Jay. We are kind of rude at times. It's kind of a byproduct of what was our profession for a while.
That's just called proper training.
Oh, that's right. Well, and speaking of training, welcome to this month's installment of Kanar with Damar, everyone. We have the usual cast of characters here. As you've already seen, we have thoughts by Jay Brown.
Yo,
We we decided to wake up the furball nice and early. But
What?
what was that? You're still putzing around in bed?
Yeah, I'm literally still in bed.
Who do you
It is only
think?
5
Who do you think you are, Riker?
p.m.
well, he is a warrant officer, so what do you expect?
Fair point. That actually explains a lot. And then we have our wonderful German influence. How are you doing this evening, Gio?
Well, hello. I'm fine, thank you.
Oh no, Kristen, not poor Furball. Poor both of us, because what time were we being pestered to last night, this morning, after movie night last night there, Blake?
Oh, I don't know what time you guys it was pestering for you, but it was for a good hour after movie night that we were being pestered, and that was well into the evening for me, which would have been past sunrise for you guys.
Oh yeah, it was close to 8 in the morning by time I finally got to bed. But because of my enjoyment and my dedication to the people that watch this stuff, I made it here on time.
Speaking of movie night, did anybody else see that it's been struck?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
that was part of our conversation after it went off air.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was the one of the commercials from Hoven's video.
Why does that not surprise me?
And someone used stock footage and then tried to claim ownership of it. That, which is, if I remember right, is what Sai had said happened previously to his channel. That that video was almost disappointing level of stupid, because it was the same type of argumentation about the topic. It's almost like they don't have anything new to offer.
Yeah, it was taking candy from a baby level easy.
Uh,
Yeah, I was there for most of the stream, so I was like, ugh. And I ran out of vodka too.
I
well,
ran out of Coke for the crown.
At least you could still drink the Crown. I had nothing.
oh come on, straight vodka isn't that bad. But
When it's cheap vodka, it burns a little harder.
oh, see, that's where you went wrong.
No, that's where I went right. That helps protect the brain a little bit more.
Um, but anyways, it's all side topics for what we're actually here to talk about. Because we are some of the uber nerds that you will come across, which last month we had started a discussion about, was Deep Space Nine as bad as many people believed it to be at the time? Which does feed into what caught my attention leading into this month's episode, where they decided to do a full-on behind-the-scenes retrospective documentary about the show, which I'm looking forward to seeing it in its full glory. All I've gotten to see were some of the promotional clips from it.
I thought they had their own website for that. It was an Indiegogo site. That's what it was.
Yeah, that was part of
Oh.
the fundraising and beginning of it, because let's be honest, a lot of projects like that, studios aren't going to want to fund because they don't really see the cost benefit. They don't see the potential ROI for it.
But something like that reinvigorates the base. And I don't know what the ROI would be on something like that for, I don't know, Hulu revenue or DVD revenue for repurchasing or rewatching the videos. But it to me, it reinvigorates the base to go back and enjoy the series again. It reminds you of something that you once loved.
Yeah. At the same time, I don't really factor into that aspect of it, because I am that type that over the course of every year and a half, I go back through and rewatch the entire series anyways. Especially the past few years, I've been doing it because a lot of the work that I do at home at my computer, one of my monitors is a smart TV, so I'll just click over to Hulu or Netflix, start running the series as I'm doing something else on the other monitor. And I'll be honest, it has helped keep the sanity while editing videos for the Moto channel and everything.
Yeah, I've gone through, not as frequent as I'd like to, but I would say that I've gone through the entire series over the last 5 years. But that's just because there's so damn many of them. This is back in the time when a season was 26 to 30 episodes, an hour long each.
Yeah, the amount of time does add up in that aspect. uh, Ooh, the Athens. I want to watch Star Trek, but in chronological order. Oh, that's a fun subject, but it's not all on Netflix, and just don't have time. I've only seen Enterprise and the original series. Okay, now by chronological order, do you mean timeline order or order of air date?
Yeah, because if you watch them chronological order, your timelines are going to be off.
Yeah, how are you going to account for any time travel episodes?
In my opinion, you would start with the place and timeline of the series it's a part of. To me,
Yeah, I wouldn't.
to me that makes the most sense and makes it easiest, because then you would go Enterprise, Discovery.
Timeline order is what he
Yeah.
says.
Yeah, timeline order. So yeah, you're looking Enterprise, the Discovery, the original series, the animated series, Next Generation, DS9, and Voyager.
Well, you would have to overlap TNG, DS9, and Voyager.
Go timeline of the series. You start with the launch date of the series, which is why you would start TNG, then DS9, then Voyager.
Okay, well, yeah.
And
Technically, that's way then yes. Because I'd actually go for the launch date of the individual episodes.
that is where it would get interesting, especially seeing
Yeah.
as how during the original series they didn't maintain any sort of structure to the star dates.
True, yes.
But the rest of the series, in the franchise, they've actually made it to where there's a progression to it. They actually started that into season 1 of TNG, because if you go by star date, there are a couple episodes later in the season that change position. But from that point on, if you look at the air date, the star dates count up in appropriate order.
Yeah, I think that going by actual air date would be interesting, because then you would get to see the progression of O'Brien, and then when he leaves TNG over to DS9, same with Worf, so you'd have to include some of the movies. But it would be interesting to do it that way. That way you can actually see them say goodbye to one crew and hello to another crew while continuing the actual series itself.
Yeah. Then there's also throwing in the movies as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And if you do that with the movies, when you get to watching the original Star Trek movie, burn your television and don't try to go purchase the DVD.
I have it on Blu-ray.
Throw it out the window.
But it's fun to laugh at.
Oh, God, it hurts. It just hurts.
Treat it like movie night. Have copious amounts of alcohol handy.
Well, and even then, it was one of those. I justified TMP in this way. I recognize the script for it was intended to be for an episode, not a movie. And they went from developing a series initially with Phase 2 to going ahead and doing a feature film, so they got a lot more budget for the visual effects, which to me explains why it ended up, realistically when you look at it for the time, became an effects-heavy movie. I just don't know why they wanted to go with the runtime that they did, other than, hey, this is a cool concept, it can look amazing as fuck, so let's do it. Because if you cut out where you have just music overture, like if you cut out 90% of those bits of the movie, how much runtime do you think that would actually take out?
Yeah, I'd like to know how much of the script was just written as dramatic music.
Oh, and the Athens, for where you can watch all of the older release series for Star Trek, yeah, it's limited on Netflix, but with the exception of the STD that's currently going around, all of them are on Hulu.
Yeah, I just checked Netflix. The only one that's not on Netflix is the animated series. Oh, nope, it's right here, actually. So you got the original series, animated series, Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, and Enterprise all available. You just don't have the movies, I think.
Well, yeah, the movies aren't. You have to go through the CBS streaming app because they put a timer on the movies. CBS did when they released that application as part of the marketing ploy to pull people towards it, because, well, let's face it, the latest series ain't quite cutting it.
Nope. Where is it? There's also some of the movies are on Prime Video, by the way. If you have Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I noticed that. That's where I was looking at one point for the DS9 documentary to see if there was anything available through there.
Furball's favorite movie is available free on your Prime membership.
Oh, what would that be?
TMP.
The motion.
Oh, God. You know, that's going to be one of the times that I can't watch it because I'm in Korea and it's geo-blocked. Oh, no.
Wait, you're telling me to turn on a VPN? I have no idea what that is.
I don't know what that is. What do you mean I can't watch the Grand Tour? VPN on.
Oh, I I've got to get caught up in that. I'm only on season 2 on Grand Tour.
I thought something that was hilarious on the Fire Stick recently is that Grand Tour is sidebar. Grand Tour is an Amazon project. I'm watching on an Amazon product, and the cover screen preview was for Top Gear with the new crew.
Oh, that's
Uh,
painful.
What the hell?
Oh,
Oh, hey, we should go all book. Oh, it's all sold out. Never mind. The 2020 sailing is sold out for the Star Trek cruise, and Damar is supposed to be on there,
interesting.
along
Oh,
with along with Shran and 7 other of Jeffrey Combs' characters.
That's
yeah.
gonna be awkward.
Well, then there's also some STD characters, Dr. Culber, Spock, and whoever the new Pike guy is, Anson Mount, I think his name is. But hey, we got a Dabo girl. Lita's going to be there.
Ooh.
Ooh.
And the headlining 2 are going to be Janeway and Kirk. Shatner Kirk.
Oh, you mean they're not going to go with the with Pine? Oh, wait a minute. He's actually still working.
How old is Shatner now? Let's see.
Oh, he's got to be pushing
Oh,
Oh,
70.
no,
Oh.
he's 88.
Whoa.
no.
22nd of March 1931.
He was in his 30s for Trek? I thought he was mid-20s at best. Wow. But okay. Speaking of Shatner, how many shows have you guys watched where he was a character not named Kirk?
Boston Legal.
I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. I mean, I have seen quite a few.
Well, because after the original series, he did T.J. Hooker.
Yeah.
He played Denny Crane on Boston Legal, which I think was really a great role for him and the way he played it. But then there was another sci-fi show that he was on where he played more of a villain in it. I just can't remember the name of it.
Mm-mm.
Well, I've
Let's
got
see,
his
yeah.
IMDb pulled up here. There's Haven,
That was it.
Croatonin.
He was also on Columbo a few times.
Yeah.
And don't forget about shit. Damn it! What it?
Shit my
Twilight
dad says?
Zone.
No, seriously, that
His
was
episode-
a TV show he's on.
Yeah, I remember that. But the Twilight Zone. There's something on the plane.
Yeah, he was the one. Wasn't that episode where he was flying in a plane and there was something on the wing?
Yeah, there was
The gargoyle on the wing.
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget he was in Third Rock from the Sun, the big giant head.
You know, that is a series I haven't seen in so long
Yeah.
that I forgot about that one. Although, John Lithgow and the salute that he developed for those characters, best sci-fi salute ever, in my opinion.
That series was just amazing. I forgot how great that was.
Let's see.
And John Lithgow, that is like the dumbest role he has ever played, and he did it so well.
And he loved it.
Yeah. He went from being the most serious actor ever to stupid sci-fi comedy, and he perfected it.
But oh yeah, Tech War was one of the other series that Shatner was in that I was
He
remembering.
produced that and wrote it.
Yeah.
Well, guess what's added to my Prime Video list? Third Rock from the Sun.
All right, but there was a topic that came up that actually, since we're already onto something related with this look back at other series and everything, and with the production beginning on one of the new series, the age-old question: Kirk or Picard?
Wait, didn't I ask that question yesterday on VTW?
You
Yeah, you
you posed it, and I, as part of for this show, and with the way the conversation is going, god damn it, it's a perfect topic to go to.
It is. Well, I thought it was funny. Main Gun's response when I asked that question, or the way I phrased it.
Now here's the question: why would you go Kirk over Picard in that instance? Like, would you lend to the realm that each one has their strengths in certain ways? Because this is where I would go with a bit of the overall philosophy of the Federation at the different times where other circumstances come into play. And this is where, looking back, the last time I watched the original series, I would say there were times Kirk got fucking lucky in some of the situations.
Oh yeah.
He got lucky that he didn't end up with an actual STD.
You know, looking back on it, he was...
You mean like Trip?
Oh, yeah. See, here's the thing. Kirk and Trip were were similarly prolific when you look in that aspect. The real question is, how the hell did Riker not get something?
Yeah, that is a very valid question, because I don't think the term monogamy was ever in his vocabulary.
Well, no, he was... When he was trying to get things working with Troy, he was very dedicated to that. But when he wasn't, he was open to everything.
He was a serial monogamist.
Oh, sorry, you know what's really funny is my wife and I are watching TNG, and she's in the second season on her thread, and she's watching the episode where Wesley's trying to get advice from Riker on how to talk to a woman,
Oh, God.
and Riker calls over Guinan.
Yes.
Best line out of that whole exchange: "Shut up, kid," from Guinan.
So if you're talking Kirk over Picard, or who's better, different aspects to look at it at. Are you talking as a production and character development and character backing? Who is a better written character? Are we talking about who acted it better? Or, from three of us on the panel, from a military aspect, which one of them was a better commander?
Oh, I'd have to go with Picard in that one. But like my search results here.
Okay.
All right, we will have to watch that after.
Yeah, I will have to pull that up later. But
yeah, when it comes to overall commander of the ship, as displayed during both the series and the movies, because I would have to say, while both have their flaws and their bad moments, I would take Picard as an overall commander, but at the same time, when you're looking at dealing with an aggressive foe, Kirk just had something about that, the more old school, not afraid to punch you type of mentality. Whereas Picard was very, very much a diplomat, which is why the line from season 1 of fucking DS9 from Q, "You punched me. Jean-Luc never punched me."
No, I think he said Picard never punched me.
Yeah, but and it was that thing is Q had noticed how physically passive Picard was in the majority of situations that he was in. That when Cisco was like, "All right, you want to do that? Fine." Pop.
Okay, found the quote. The quote is, "You hit me, Picard never hit me."
Yeah.
So I've got a thumbnail that might trigger you guys. Let me know when you see it.
I'm on my phone. I don't know if I can see it.
Oh God.
What the?
I mean that would be an interesting comparison as well. Kirk versus Hans.
Yeah, Kirk versus Han Solo would be interesting because there are so many differences between those fictional universes that can you even really do a comparison between the two? Because like frickin' Karis last night when I mentioned that the show was happening, she's in the background being herself. It's like, oh no, Star Wars is where it's at, and it's like, ugh.
Is that what I was missing? Was Karis?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
She was in true
Yes.
form. I saw it on the stream. I just
Oh, not just in true form. She had the camera on for most of it, so you got to see the facial expressions to go with the comments.
oh I know.
yeah. I don't know how much any of us actually watched the video.
Maybe a third of it. I will
Yeah.
admit, maybe a third of it.
That's the only reason why I was watching the stream, is watching that little window at the bottom there.
Yeah, when you join in on the panel though, you get to pick which one you want to stay with.
Oh, I know. I know. And as soon as I saw Karis the first time, I was like, I should have joined the panel.
I told you were missing out.
Yeah, but unfortunately, family matters didn't help.
Mm.
But everything cleared up, so it was all good.
I have a puppy chewing on my face. Stop it!
Your wife's not gonna like that. She's gonna get jealous.
Yeah, she's gonna get jealous of a bitch.
I was about to make the exact same joke there. Are you talking about your bitch or are you talking about your dog?
Oh.
Oh. Sean's apparently sending you a link for a G drive, or on a G drive for you there, Jared.
All right, this could be interesting.
So what about character development? Who's better, Jean-Luc or Kirk? I think that's pretty easy.
I have to go with Picard on that one.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, and part of that is a byproduct of how much longer they had the show running.
Yeah, and it was nice to actually see, going from the show to the movies, you could still see they were trying to develop the character in the movies too. You know, add some
think
nuance to his character.
Some of that you can probably blame upon the time as well, though, because during the 60s, TV shows didn't have the story arc that anything else did today or does today, or even in the 90s. In the 60s, it was individual itty-bitty little movies and they weren't as big on big character development.
Yeah, I mean the reason for this is probably that VCRs weren't a thing, so
Yeah,
people didn't have the opportunity to actually catch up with something happening on the show if they missed one episode. So it was better to actually separate them thematically.
Well, yeah, the
Yeah.
episodic nature and that's another thing you're seeing even today with the streaming and non live watch applications that you have. They can do more of the overreaching arcs, and actually they didn't even, other than recurring adversaries in TNG, they didn't start doing season-long type of story arcs until about midway through DS9 and towards the end of it, especially because of the Founders and the Dominion, and they did almost a smoldering build-up before they got into the actual Dominion War.
Yeah, I think the first real multi-episode story arc that we got was the first 5 or so episodes of season 6, when DS9 was occupied.
Yeah. Well, no, because you were still getting touches of conflict even in season 5 and the end of season 4 with the Dominion, where it really was, going back and watching it, it very much was the clandestine espionage type of counterintelligence back and forth battles that were being waged early on into it. And then, yeah, when the Dominion finally starts to do overt military action by the alliance with Cardassia, that's where the in-your-face part of it starts to take over.
Well,
And
not
Jared,
only,
take a look
only
at William
that,
Stein's comment.
also the story arc about the Klingons, the Klingon War with the Federation, and of course the infiltration of Starfleet headquarters by changelings.
yeah, well, and I look at that as part of the espionage side, because it was the changelings who really, the Martok impersonator, who really exacerbated the Klingon aggression side of it. While the initial rumors of changelings having infiltrated the Cardassian government gave Gowron the spark for the initial invasion and everything, that's the Klingons being the Klingons, responding to what they perceive as a major threat. But the prolonged bit of it after was definitely more direct manipulation on the back end. Again, counterintelligence, espionage type of manipulation. But I'm looking at the interaction between the Dominion and the Alpha Quadrant powers in general as an overall plot line that initially was more of a side. It looked like it was here and there where it was weaving through, but looking at it in totality is where I look at it more as that slow burn type. But then again, military background and knowing that not everything starts with an overt military action.
Yeah, Simon Pegg says Kirk would win in a fight against Picard.
I would think so.
Wait.
No, what kind of fight? What kind of fight?
An actual fight, like
So fist fight between Picard and Kirk.
At which age? Are they both the same age, or is one of them younger than the other?
I would say both of them in their physical prime. Huh.
This is what he's doing, the double-handed. You know.
Oh, he's making fun of the whole. But then again, Picard would have the open hand punch, and we've seen how effective that move is.
I would say that Kirk would probably win in an actual fist fight, but any battle of intellect lasting longer than 10 minutes, Picard would probably pull ahead.
I don't know about that one, because keep in mind, while Khan wasn't used to thinking of the extrapolated maneuvers with the spatial battles, like when you look at it in Star Trek 2 and the way Khan was able to do things, and even in the original series episode Space Seed, Khan was on the cusp of winning and getting the better of Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was definitely that even match, and this was someone with a genetically engineered superior intellect to others, to where Khan pretty much learned everything he needed to know about the ship and the Federation because Kirk did something that Picard wouldn't do. Picard would not give someone brand new like that level of unfettered access to the ship's computer.
So you're saying that Kirk's OPSEC was shitty?
Yeah. All right, hang on. Let me listen to this.
Yeah. See, Kirk's Enterprise didn't have OPSEC posters above the urinals.
You know, that's the ultimate failing right there. If they just had that.
Loose lips sink spaceships.
It almost gets your chief
Wait.
engineer killed.
Wait a second. How can you sink a spaceship?
Well, they did it with the new Star Wars, or the new movies. Was it the second new movie where they started and the ship was in the fucking water?
Yeah.
Because starships are engineered to withstand earthly gravities and stresses.
Well, some of them, according to lore, are, and some are not. Because, for example, Voyager obviously has those landing legs.
Oh, that's true. That just
Really?
makes no sense at all, because why would you build something that, because you would have to over engineer it so much to be able to land on a planet when you don't need any of that structural integrity for space.
Well, the reason obviously is that it's used as a plot device. By the way, can you hear that beeping in my background?
Yes.
A little bit,
fuck's
yeah.
sake, that's my stupid washing machine. Give me a second.
So
There we go. Problem solved.
So what do you think about S2000 GT's Borg Picard would kick Kirk's ass? That's
Is that even really a question?
well, that is actually something I would love to see, like through the Kelvin timeline or something. Although I know it wouldn't happen because the Borg haven't gotten that far yet. But to see how the original series storyline would react to the Borg, you know what I mean?
That would be interesting. What?
I mean, wouldn't they kind of react in the same way as the Enterprise crew in that season 2 episode of ENT?
Probably. And it would. Well, and here's the question: back then, what would the gap in technology be between the Borg and the Federation that far back? I mean, would it be similar to, say, like in Enterprise and Into a Mirror Darkly, where you have just that overwhelming of a ship available with no real competition elsewhere in the region? Would it be that bad, or would it be closer to slightly later for Best of Both Worlds, where the Federation ended up having somewhat of a fighting chance? Yeah, Sean, I haven't gotten to listen to all 7 minutes of it yet, but loved the work and the progression. And again, I was thinking earlier today when I woke up, it's like, oh, I should have an intro for this stream that is more suiting of the topics at hand. So, yeah, if you want to help add in for audio on that, that would be outstanding.
Sorry, Guido made me do it.
Yeah, wait a second. You really want to do this?
Did I anger the keyboard? I really need to get that on a shirt, by the way.
How can I share my screen? There we go. That one.
See, I like that one.
I can trump that one without actually using Trump's face.
Yeah, please don't.
No, it's not. Well, we both know that the Borg are not running Windows 10, but what we do know is that the Enterprise D by 2365 or whatever is still running Windows XP virtual machines. How do I know that?
I was gonna say, wasn't there a screen faux pas that happened to?
Yeah.
Give me a second. Okay, share my screen again. So remember the funeral of Tasha Yar?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me that that the holodeck is not running Windows XP at that moment.
Yeah, had a feeling. See, and actually, it's interesting you bring that up because what we mentioned before about going by Stardate, that's where part of the issue comes in at the end of Season 1, because you have a Stardate that airs after Tasha is dead, but the Stardate is before. So you end up having a hiccup in the timeline of where Tasha's there, she's dead, then she's alive, and then she dies.
So, question: when they shut off this funeral program, does it make this da 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 dum sound?
Oh, no. The real question is when they shut it off, is there a start button?
Well, technically there is. It's just over on the Arch console. So, wait. No, here's the question. In that environment in the holodeck, when you call for the Arch, does it actually give you the colored Windows logo instead?
Yeah, that actually.
Yeah, when they upgraded from to Windows 10 on that one, they decided to do away with the Arch completely because you don't need the Arch. We're going to a new philosophy. You don't need the Arch, even though you've used it for the last decade. We at Windows think we know better than you. You don't need the Arch anymore. But I want to get out of this fucking room. How do I get out of here?
Actually, they couldn't upgrade to Windows 10 as their CPU doesn't have SSE2 extensions.
No, Williamson says it when you go to shut it down, it goes directly to the blue screen of death.
Ooh.
Which,
You know, I've never had a blue screen ever.
oh, I have something to show you. Let's see.
I need to clarify that on a non-beta system. Obviously, on Windows betas are buggy as hell, so yeah, they blue screen all the time.
I don't get blue screens either, but I'm a Mac user.
Yeah, that's just wrong and unnatural.
Where did I? Okay, did I put it on?
And I think you're still sharing me for whatever reason. Is that possible?
No.
No,
No, it was you were the last one to talk. All right. Right, I need to find where this one is because there's a picture I've had for a while that is just too fucking perfect. This is the problem with how much shit I have on the computer now. It's what I get for Red. Is like, hey, download this. We're gonna go over it. You fuck.
File management, a little bit of a bitch.
Yeah, because it's trying to remember what I put where. But again, it's gotten to the point where, come on. Okay, so it's not in that one. I need to find the folder named that. And I am tempted to go to Linux. Nope, that's the wrong work folder. There it is. Oh, come on. Oh, puppy.
She can't decide if she wants down or back up. So down on the floor. Give her 30 seconds and she'll whine to get back up. Then chew on my face for a minute, then get back down.
You mean the thing that cats do when you leave the door open? What the fuck was that?
It's part of a slideshow that I've had for quite a while. Some of it is not... There it is, I found it.
It sounded like you last night in bed, didn't it?
Alright, let me...
Okay, that's too much information now.
share this internally with you guys, and with the way it's set up, everyone else will see it as well.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work. That must be photoshopped.
I have seen a blue screen of death have a failure during it.
Yeah, but does it show like a standard
Pop-up
does
like
the
that?
standard failure window open? Because I think as soon as you have a BSOD, the Explorer.x is actually closed, so this would be impossible to render.
Didn't somebody make a blue screen of death video where Data is smashing on the computer console?
Wouldn't surprise me, but I haven't seen one. But as for the pop-up window coming up, yeah, that's where I will agree that it probably 99% is crafted in this way. But I have seen the blue screen of death come up on a... Was it 95 system or was it older? And during the debug process that it shows up, it just stopped. So it didn't go through the complete blue screen part. It just stopped, and yeah. I've shared this one a while back with someone who was being quite the idiot, mainly because of the text at the bottom.
So, Jared, did you have some time to actually play Voyager Elite Force?
I have a little bit. I actually have a couple hours of gameplay through, and I will admit, I was looking at the holodeck application instead of the single player one. But you and I think, are the only ones with it on our computer, and of course, Furball being Furball, he's that one.
That one.
But yeah,
It's not available on a Mac.
No,
the
but
patch
you
that
would probably be able to run it in Parallels desktop.
Yeah, I removed Parallels off my computer because I didn't have a. I had like 5 versions ago, and to keep using it, I'd have to pay, and I'm not using Windows stuff enough to
warrant the
actually
cost.
need it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not as easy to do dual boot setup on a Mac.
Yeah, poor bastards.
Yeah, last night on movie night, I've got an issue with Zoom. Usually, about an hour in, it starts just crashing and crashing and crashing. And I think I figured it out. I have to unplug all of my monitors and shut everything else down. Otherwise, Zoom just doesn't work. Because as soon as I unplugged my external monitors, it worked fine. And I'm running off of a MacBook, so I don't imagine it was intended to have that many monitors hooked up to it.
At least not.
It shouldn't make a difference as long as the GPU can handle them. There shouldn't be any issues.
Should, but gotta keep in mind, Zoom was probably crafted more for a Windows or Linux setup, because running multiple monitors, I don't have that issue on Zoom, but how many people typically run Macs with multiple screens?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And I know it's taxing because just using my laptop, it doesn't overheat, it doesn't do anything. But as soon as I plug in an external monitor, the fans kick on like you wouldn't believe.
Really?
So which OS is the Borg using?
Ubuntu. Or
Wait, let me think of a pun. Unix, something with Unix.
oh yeah, it's got to be a Unix setup, because I mean, come on, they call. Keep in mind, what did they call that psychedelic, subconscious mental link that 7 of 9 was a part of? That
Unimatrix 0?
yeah, Unimatrix. Everything is set up by.
That's a Unix. Actually, it should be a reverse acronym, shouldn't it? Let's see.
And speaking of needy bitches wanting out, yeah, except mine's probably about 6-7 times larger than yours.
But mine's 10 times more adorable.
We're talking about your bitches again.
Of course.
Come here, puppy.
Nah. You know what? That one works. Vincule OS.
I see that was lost on everybody.
There really wasn't much. Like, was that taken from the holodeck scene in First Contact?
I think so.
Yeah, it's just.
Oh God.
Which question?
Not a question.
Oh, there was a question in the chat that could get that response.
Oh, I'm sure there was.
Or, oh, you saw. Okay, that one. Clever enough.
That's just not even right.
Well, so from the chat, Ugly German Truth, what did a Borg even need stiletto shoes and silicone implant boobs for? Never found out the rational cause for either. And by that time, there was no reason Voyager had. There was no reason Voyager had any fans left, anyways. Yeah, after they realized that Kess was not the draw that they were initially thinking she would be, they had to get rid of her character in lieu of someone more appealing, which is where 7 of 9 came in. And here's the fucked up part. In the short time...
You mean a large blonde girl with giant boobs?
Yeah. So the messed up part is when you look at character development through that series, 7 of 9 had by far more character development than 90% of the other major characters.
Doctor.
90%. The Doctor would be the one that's on par with her in character development.
Oh, come on. Why are you thinking that they needed to have another sexy, sultry woman on the show? They had a female captain.
Yeah, but not many people are attracted to that level. And even then, she definitely gave off more of the mother bear aspect, not the vixen.
Yeah, the only person I can think of that was into Janeway was the comic book guy from The Simpsons. Actually shown in the scene downloading Janeway porn.
Well, you're also forgetting there was a short time that Tom Paris had a thing for her.
Yeah, when he was this reptile amphibian slug.
Which, by the way, one of the other videos I posted, that the failed experiments.
Yeah.
Yep, that was part of it.
That was.
Did you guys see this CSI parody starring Kate Mulgrew called NTSF hyphen SD SUV?
Yeah, I've seen part of it. I haven't watched much of it, but I am aware of it.
Oh, by the way, Jared, I sent you a meme in Discord.
Oh, that one's worth showing.
Uh-oh, what is it?
Oh,
You'll see.
You'll enjoy it.
Oh god, no.
Is that a real phone? Like one that plugs into the wall?
It's getting surprisingly silent here.
It is.
Yeah, everything was still working.
So, Jared, what is your opinion so far on the game?
Jared.
I wonder if it's minion calling.
Ooh. Do. Well played.
Now all I can think of is Homer sitting in the back of the car while Bart and Milhouse are at the concert.
My dog finally stopped chewing on my face, and she's sleeping in my lap. I forgot how insane puppies are.
Threshold never happened. Let's agree on that. Yes, that never happened. Nobody talks about it. Threshold is definitely one of those episodes I don't really care for on Voyager. It didn't fit any of the story arc that they were really trying to pose, other than let's get home quicker. What season was that? Was that season 2?
Pretty early on, yeah.
Yeah, episode 15, season 2.
Right when they knew that they were losing out on the fan base. I think that was one of their slow years.
Yeah, the other Voyager episode that I'd like to forget to just erase from collective memory, collective get it, is I think season 6, Tsunkatse,
Oh yeah,
where they had The Rock as a guest star. And also Jeffrey Combs, apparently.
did that really?
Yep.
Oh yeah. He was the guy holding everybody
Organizer
hostage.
of the tournament called Pink. Is that possible? I think he was called Pink. Let's see.
Memory Alpha. Pink. Yes. Yep. Katze would be season 6, episode 15.
Yep. Speaking of failed experiments, they talked about. I don't know if you guys have watched that video. I'm assuming Furball hasn't. That Jared shared, but they talk about Discovery's spore drive. What are your thoughts about the power matrix that they used in Voyager for Equinox?
I don't remember that.
At the end of season
Interrupt.
5, and
You-
it's season 5 and beginning of season 6, that crossover episode.
You mean the system that ran on alien corpses?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the details of it, I'm afraid.
they were transdimensional beings that they would capture and
Yeah, I
basically
know.
suck out the life force on them to
But
provide them with more power. Not so much not like the spore drive in Discovery, but the fact that they would use alien life
As a power source?
as a power source. Yeah,
Well, I mean, technically, we're using the energy from dead beings to drive our cars.
and I think
yeah. We didn't kill them to get it.
2 is doing the same thing, considering the fact that all their ships are biological. If that counts.
Wait, what?
We need to completely change the topic to something that Jared hates while he's gone.
Yeah.
That way he just walks back into something he hates. This is what happens when you leave the room with us.
Okay, the fact that Yamaha bikes are much better than Ducatis.
Oh, come on. We all know that Suzuki's better than Ducati.
Yeah, I don't know how there aren't more motorcycle deaths here in Korea, because I've said this before in several different shows that apparently traffic laws don't apply to people on mopeds, motorcycles, and bikes.
Well, do they ever apply anywhere in the world outside of the U.S.?
True, but in Europe they at least abide by the traffic laws. You think that Korea is a modern country, but holy shit. These people jump from sidewalk to street, weave in and out of traffic, literally ignore stoplights. They'll slow down, and then as soon as it's clear, they'll go through the intersection.
So it sounds like they're playing GTA.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
No, well, they would be playing Sleeping Dogs, wouldn't they?
Let's see here.
I think I might dip out and try and get a couple more hours of sleep.
Oh, why
before the
would you
sun
want to do
completely
that?
comes up.
Sleep? What does this
Sean,
Oh,
you speak of? Yeah, that was the work phone that went off in the background.
Was it the Minion?
No, actually we have the major rebuild project coming up of the machines that's going to take 2 months of work. And so we're starting to get the people who are actually going to be doing that work set up for badging and everything.
I found a complete list of the rules of acquisition.
Yeah. Did they really make a complete list, though, or was it more...
286 is what I have on this one.
Because I know people have tried to piece it together, and... let's see here.
The fuck is this ad for?
Which...
Hold on. This truly deserves a screen share.
You can't cheat on a customer, but it never hurts to try. Nice.
Wow.
Never buy what can be stolen.
No lobes, no profit.
A wife is a luxury, a smart accountant a necessity.
A wife who is able to clean saves the cleaning lady.
Greed is eternal.
A wealthy man can afford everything except a conscience.
Fighting the Klingons is like gambling with Cardassians. It's good to have a friend around when you lose.
Respect is good, Latinum is better.
286. When Morn leaves, it is all over.
Yep.
The way to a Ferengi's heart is through his wallet. War is good business.
Diamonds may be a girl's best friend, but you can only buy the girl with latinum.
Don't take
Klingon women don't dance tango. 193.
The difference between manure and latinum is commerce.
Don't take your family for granted. Only their latinum.
Never kill.
New customers are like razor-toothed gree-worms. They can be succulent, but sometimes they bite back.
Oh,
A contract
kill
without fine print is a fool's document.
never kill a customer unless you make more profit out of their death than their life.
Everything's for sale, even friendship. 121.
245. A warranty is valid only if they can find you.
The fourth rule of acquisition. Sex and profit are the two things that never last long enough.
Number 21. Never place friendship before profit. Number 25. Fear makes a good business partner.
The most beautiful thing about a tree is what you do with it after you cut it down.
There are two things that will catch up with you for sure: death and taxes.
I thought they don't have taxes on Ferengi now.
What the?
When
Hold on, guys.
when someone says it's not the money, they're lying.
Borrow on a handshake. Lend in writing.
A smart customer is not a good customer. She can touch your ears, but never your latinum.
Only give money to people you know you can steal from.
Faith moves mountains of inventory. Never trust a wise man.
Never sleep with the boss's wife unless you pay him first.
Oh.
Nature decays, but latinum lasts forever.
There's always a way out. Greed.
That one is great. 111. Treat people in your debt like family. Exploit them.
Greed is eternal.
Yeah, I had that one before. Ferengi are not responsible for the stupidity of other races.
That's actually a good one. Wounds heal, but debt is forever.
Never bet on a race you haven't fixed.
Never trust a hardworking employee.
A friend is not a friend if he asks for a discount. Never take hospitality from someone worse off than you.
Or only pay for it if you are confronted with a loaded phaser.
Loyalty can be bought and sold.
A warranty without loopholes is a liability.
A Ferengi is only as important as the amount of latinum he carries in his pockets.
Don't trust anyone who trusts you.
Latinum can't buy happiness, but you can sure have a blast renting it.
Rules are always subject to change.
Blood is thicker than water, but harder to sell.
Sorry about that. FedEx came by the door.
Rule number 279. Never close a deal too soon after a female strokes your lobes.
285. No good deed ever goes unpunished.
Did we already cover number 77? Go where no Ferengi has gone before. When there's no reputation, there's profit.
That would be the ones who got stuck in the Delta Quadrant.
Yep, that's what you get for not listening to Jordi regarding wormhole exits.
Number 79. Benefit from the Vulcan greed for knowledge.
If it works, sell it. If it works well, sell it for more. If it doesn't work, quadruple the price and sell it as an antique.
Why do I know a few business people like that?
Well, you are in an area where it is really easy to market something as antique and charge 3 times as much.
Yeah, wait a second.
True.
I think I just had an epiphany. So let's see. Ferengi are hardcore capitalists. They don't like taxes. They have giant ears and an evil smile on their faces.
They're Ross Perot.
I was thinking Donald Trump, but whatever.
Oh no, Jay, pull up an image of Ross Perot
I
so
will.
Gio can see.
Ah,
You see it now, don't you?
Now
Here,
imagine,
I'll be
yeah, a
nice and
little
go to
bit.
his presidential campaign. How about that?
now imagine a 30-minute infomercial that he paid for as part of his campaign to explain his tax ideas.
And he was short. He was only like what,
What?
5'5", 5'6".
Something like that.
And the sad part is, at the time, he probably actually would have done a fair amount of good for the country.
Hey, come on. Because of Perot, we ended up with a president that got a blowjob in the Oval Office.
George Bush Sr.?
Clinton.
I'm sure they all got blowjobs in the Oval Office. Only one of them got caught.
Yep. Perot was 5'5", and McCain was 5'7".
Yeah. And it just goes to show, sometimes height matters. But then again, speaking of the Ferengi, was it that the Mirror Universe Nog said, never trust a tall human. A tall woman, on the other hand.
What did Pig do now?
It always comes down to profit with you people. That was Quark in The Magnificent Ferengi.
Yeah.
Oh God, Pig.
Do I even want to know?
The meme section of UDSA. Or
Yeah.
it's now called Pig's Pen.
Oh, it's... Oh.
Apparently, William Science in the side chat thinks that Henry Kissinger once blew Nixon in the Oval Office. Alright, that's yet another reason to stab my eyes out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are some things just better kept behind closed doors.
Yep.
So, speaking of doing naughty things in naughty places, who do you think has to clean up the holodeck?
The holodeck cleans itself.
Yeah, I would say it very much would be self-cleaning when you shut down the program.
Yeah, otherwise
Yeah.
some sort of swabby needs to go in there and just hose it down every few days.
Oh,
Yeah, the problem with the biologicals that are sprayed everywhere during those events are brought in by the people, not part of the program.
yes, but they are deposited as part of the program. So when the program shuts off, the only thing that the person should have to clean is themselves. But now, if the residue is left, think about what the person would have to deal with after Worf was in there.
Oh god, somebody suggests that it's Wesley's job to clean the holodeck.
No. All I'm thinking is, after Riker went in and had a grand old time with some holodeck lady, makes his deposit that is now physically inside said holodeck lady. He says goodbye and turns off the program. Then his deposit is still physically there and just drops to the floor.
Oh, oh, you mean like what would have happened with his time after being introduced to Minuet by the Binars?
on the other hand, wasn't there a scene in the pilot episode actually where Wesley falls into the water inside the holodeck, exits it, and then is still wet?
And he's still wet. Yeah.
That means that the holodeck has some sort of replicator or whatever in there that at least can simulate or create water.
It's a so the explanation that I recall is the holodeck is essentially a combination between replicator, transporter, and a VR computer environment. So it
Wait a second before you continue. Somebody just made most brilliant comment ever. That entire thing about Minuet and Riker gives the phrase "fire at will" a whole new meaning.
Here's how I imagine the holodeck after everybody leaves. So ignore the people in the room on this one.
That episode was interesting. Although there were times that T'Pol was rather un-Vulcan.
Which time?
Well, if you notice, if you watch her, even just her mannerisms were very animated for a stoic, cerebral type of species. When you look at the majority of Vulcans, aside from the cult that had the guy who essentially mind raped her.
Cyranites? No, wait a second.
No, the Cyranites were the one in the forge.
Vulcan.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So, let's see here. That made me think of something. Enterprise tried to tie into the original series as much as possible for continuity's sake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when Spock went through his first Ponvar, where he had to go back to Vulcan?
Yeah.
In the original series?
Yeah.
The Amok time?
Yeah.
Amok time, yeah. I think it was
the
first episode of the second season, I think.
Something like that. So this is T'Pau.
Yep.
The priestess.
All of Vulcan in one package.
This is T'Pau. The two ladies actually have very similar cheekbone structure.
Yeah, the high cheekbones. That was a good call by Enterprise to get a... Now, do you think they did that intentionally, or was it happenstance?
No, I think they did that intentionally. The fourth season was actually very good in terms of keeping canon correct with TOS episodes. Just think about the Orions, for example, or the incidents with Tholian Web.
Mm.
In season 4, the writers actually knew what the fuck they were doing, so I think this is intentional.
Yeah, I think it was intentional because they knew it was their last season, so they were trying to get as much correct as they could with the canon.
Yeah, but they didn't know that at this point.
Yeah, during the writing process, they didn't. It was midway through production that they found out.
Yeah, they heard that on the last day of production for In the Mirror Darkly Part 1, I think. It's such a shame that Enterprise didn't get a 5th season.
Yeah, it would have been interesting because I think had Enterprise run for a few more seasons to at least get to the 7-season run that the other newer series have gotten to, we wouldn't have been strapped with the nonsense that is Discovery. Although there is a theory that following the end of season 2, that season 3 is going to take place in a different time frame.
Why can they not just settle down on... First of all, is it canon or not? and what timeline it's supposed to be in.
Well, because it is a produced and televised bit of Trek lore from the actual IP owner, it is part of canon. But that question of where it actually fits into the multiple timelines that they have now makes it murky. And with them trying to say, oh, it's prime timeline, it's prime universe, it's right at this time frame in it, but then to get so much of the minutia wrong when they are the IP holders, they didn't have to play those games of, well, we need to change it by a certain amount. That
Yeah.
could have been, it had potential.
Oh yeah, that I've noticed that when I sit down to watch it, I usually watch one disc at a time. There's so much potential in each episode that it's like it starts to get me hooked, and then as I start watching it, it starts to like wear on me and grate on me, you know. And I'm going to end up getting season 2 when it comes out, but at the same time, I'm just like, do I really want to, you know? Do I want to subject myself to that much punishment?
Yeah. What?
I mean,
It's
I
kind
I could actually see Discovery being more of like a futuristic Star Trek, somewhere between Crewman Daniels and the end of Voyager, somewhere in there, you know?
Yeah, 26th or 27th century.
Yeah.
That would have fit.
yeah, and also it gives you more latitude in what you do with storylines and technology and the visual aspect of it, because we've had glimpses of 29 year 3000 level bids thanks to Daniels. And even if you try to include Star Trek Online, you're still only at the early 25th century there. So you do have a large area of time to play with.
What now, pig? He keeps tagging me and shit on Discord.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, so I'm trying to follow the commentary from Ugly German Truth. I'm not. Yeah, no.
I mean, I'm trying to give Discovery the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to let it sit as its own thing before I try to judge it with continuity. But there's just so much wrong with it, and so much that they've said it's supposed to be and what it turns out to be. That's why it's so hard to.
Well, it's with how stark the differences are. Even like I understand visual reboots, but they didn't even call it that.
Mm-hmm.
And had they just said that, yeah, we're going to visually reboot and visually refresh everything starting from this point, that would have alleviated a ton of the criticism that it's gotten from day one.
Yeah.
But also with when Discovery went into production and they were setting these expectations, was when they were beginning the legal issue with the group that was producing Prelude to Axanar, which that still, to me, holds more appeal to watch than Discovery. And the interesting bit is because it's staying true to the established look and feel from the original series. And what has surprised me is the number of actors who have experience in Star Trek who have ended up agreeing to play roles on that series. So, like the Vulcan ambassador from Enterprise, he's in there. The actor who played Martok and a few other characters, he's on there. It,
God damn it, Vic.
you know, you can't just ignore it.
No, if you go and look at his latest one that he tagged at veteran in the meme section, you'll understand.
I don't want to look.
Yes, you do.
I'm going to look.
One of my favorite characters in Enterprise that didn't get utilized too much.
Curtis. Well, you realize that the actress died
Yeah.
in the middle of production.
Yeah, I know. I wish that they had a chance to better write things for her beforehand, but you know, the way life is this cruel mistress.
Well, and again, you're looking at a lot of the storylines and influx of her were in the middle of what ended up being the run, but when a lot of the early stories they were doing and everything, you're looking at, they were almost expecting to get 6-7 seasons out of the series, or maybe even more. And so you can have that slow buildup of those sorts of interactions. But by getting shafted and getting and the series being ended the way that it was, it kind of can put a damper on things, and why season 4, especially the end of it, ended up being so rushed.
Don't care, pig.
From Ugly German Truth. No, I hate DS9 for bringing in the Dominion War. They still put in decent effort for the stories, but the plot was horrible, totally un-Star Trek, and full of fucked up ideas like Section 31. But that's not where Section 31 stories began. And you have to remember, you got to give them credit because they were out on the fringe. They weren't following the flagship, who's going to be going to different places and going one-offs here and there. So it gave a more sense of realism to the universe in how they went about that with the conflicts, because in a diverse environment like that, you're not going to be at peace forever. And in universe, what they had shown on screen was effectively at peace, even a tentative peace, for a really long time.
I'm still sharing. Apparently, I am. Sorry.
Yeah.
Didn't realize that until I clicked over and looked. I'm like, oh, I am sharing still.
What do you mean by only Star Trek factard? Fuck you.
Factor's a little upset that I sent him pictures of a chocolate cake that I was eating yesterday.
Ah. DS9 was pure US militarianism, Jiganist wankery, and that Defiant is the best symbol for that. While I will agree that Defiant is quite the expression of the overreaction to it, you still have the conflict in there, like when the Admiral wanted to really beef up and really go to pretty much martial law. Sisko was one of the ones who initially was like, okay, I agree up to this point, but then it became a, wait a minute, no, this is exactly playing into the hands of the other people, of the adversary, of the Dominion, because if we're not trusting ourselves, if we're not trusting our own people, how are we ever going to be able to defend ourselves if and when the Dominion decides to attack? Again, starting with that subversive type of manipulations.
Factard is a Frenchman, so his taste is limited to cheese, wine, and women. William Signs. And escargots. Ugly German truth. I did mention women, William. the premise of Deep Space Nine and the U.S. militarism, I can see that. I just think that it was trying to present it in a way that the build up and the use of the military is not always necessarily for the evil things people prescribe it to be. You know, like with Team Skeptic's post about his brother being on the Lincoln the other last week or so, and people taking it out of context as a political statement, which to me it wasn't. You know, but people are seeing that because it's going to Iran, the Persian Gulf, to bully around Iran a bit. You know, they saw that they took the context as being a political post. You know.
Yeah. And if you're looking at DS9 in that light, looking at his historic parallels, you can also say the same about TOS, but I would argue, and William Signs will probably agree with me on this one, TOS will probably be more of an accurate parallel in that aspect, because at the time the Federation was still expanding. How many episodes involved the Enterprise trying to establish trade relations with a particular system? And then you have the Klingons coming in to counter it. You have that back and forth as an overall tone of the series in a lot of those exploration type things, because that's essentially what the Cold War was between the US and Russia. Mm-hmm. Proxy positioning and currying favor and establishing trade with smaller other nations for prescribed mutual benefit, but there was still that part of, well, we want you to be friends with us because we don't want you to be friends with them sort of mentality.
Yeah. And don't forget to mention hockey about the Cold War too.
Yeah.
Although I have to admit, for Star Trek Discovery, they did pick a very good Harry Mudd.
That's true.
One of the things that they got right, yes. But schoolyard mentality.
There is no half a series run arc of one battle after another.
Well, and here's the thing. Again, this is where I say that while the Dominion influence arc was close to half of DS9, a large chunk of it there at the beginning was subversive shit and skirmishes, which you're going to have when you're exploring an area where there's a parallel power with even at times more advanced technology and weaponry able to punch back. It wasn't until end of season 5 and then seasons 6 and 7 where the actual war took place. So you're looking at the actual war, actual open hostilities of the Dominion War itself only taking a little over 2 seasons, and even then it wasn't the entirety of those 2 seasons. But just like many political things, it's not just a short, hey, we're going to get into it, we're going to address it and move on. No, there was a lot of slow play, a lot of build up, which is why I say that story arc really started as that smoldering build up, that little bit of heat that just built up, because there was stuff going on in the background. Also, had DS9 spent more time in developing their own scenario with the Cardassians basically bankrupt and giving up on extreme colonies like Bajor for the Federation to rush in, basing their war in that and not in Dominion and Klingons, it would have been far better told story. That is potential.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will give you that. That is a fair criticism that the in-universe building, they could have done it differently with how they came to the end.
Yeah. And an answer about the Discovery Mud. Yes, he was darker, but again, that goes to the whole point that Discovery is a darker universe than the Star Trek we're used to. You know, they the whole series starts off with a Klingon war, you know. I mean, yes, they're trying to bring some lightheartedness into it. They're also trying to bring some romance involved into it to kind of lighten the mood a bit, but ultimately it is about a war, and Gabriel Lorca being one of the main characters to win that war.
Yeah. Well, and with that just goes. Part of it also is media perception and society from another aspect there. In the 60s, when TOS was being produced, TV shows in general had more of that campy, closer to lighthearted feel. So when you look at TOS in that aspect of in relation to media as a whole at the time, it makes sense. So when you start to look at Discovery and more recent editions of Star Trek, again, through that historical lens of contextual with the rest of media being provided, again, it makes sense why it is a little more towards the dark side, a little more aggressive, a little more dark in it, because with what political throes we've been dealing with and also the violence we've been dealing with in our recent history, it adds into that to where it really is that back and forth between art reflecting life, reflecting art. Dark and yet full of fungi.
Yeah, I definitely one of my biggest hangups is that spore drive.
It's nonsense.
We do have a rookie question, self-admittedly by Casual Spaceman. Are there parallels in Star Trek scripts with current affairs? Oh, hell yes.
That's an episode in and of itself.
Best example, I think, Star Trek 6.
Yes, because you have the fall of the Soviet Union and in universe there is Star Trek 6 is the breaking down of hostilities between the Klingon Empire and the Federation, leading to an actual cooperation. Not necessarily a partnership initially, but more cooperation. And then taking that aspect, go to DS9 and look at how relations with the Klingons were. It was fine, we were okay, and then things got feisty and we started fighting each other. They went to a bit of an extreme with the fighting, comparing to relations with Russia back then and now, where, yeah, we tolerate each other, nation to nation, but we're not exactly friends.
Nothing wrong with jammies. U.S. soldiers wore fatigues. Basically a fancy word for
Pajamas, yeah.
yeah, for 200 years. Those were practical, whereas the TOS uniforms were anything but.
Well, and so, again, looking at the media and everything that was going on at the time, the reason why the TOS era uniforms were designed in such a way was to take advantage of the new Technicolor transmissions being done on over-the-air TV. They had the color palette available to them, so they wanted to maximize that visual impact, which is why the entire sets in general were very, very colorful.
Mm-hmm.
And, interesting thing, the command color was not supposed to be gold initially. It was actually intended to be more green, like Kirk's alternate tunic.
Yeah.
Oh, that like his dress one?
No, not his dress one. The casual green one where it was the deeper V-neck.
Yep. And what's the whole purpose of the red dress one where you could like unclip one side of it and make it casual?
Oh, you mean the from the later movies? That
Yeah.
one.
You know, I don't know they wanted to go. So, TOS, very colorful, very much expanding and using the technology available from a media standpoint. But then look at what they followed that up with in the motion picture.
Oh God, horrible! Again, let's
The white
pretend
ones.
like that never happened.
Yeah. So I look at the red Wrath of Khan era uniforms as a reaction to that, to going to something more friendly and appealing, but also going back to it is a merge of the two. So instead of just having 3 division colors, as you can see here, they started having more specialty notice, more specializing in the color schemes of the subdivisions that each person was in. So you could easily spot their rank and what their what area they were actually working in. Like your ops, medical, logistics, engineering.
You mean like the picture I'm showing right now?
Yeah, exactly. And that was really a functional type of uniform, because I look at this as the dungarees / utility uniform that the U.S. Navy used for decades, where it was functional but cleaned up well, and you could relax it as necessary.
Yeah, the long sleeve dungaree and
Yep.
utility sleeves, you could roll up and get away with it as long as you were working. You could also buy the short sleeve versions of it too, versus the working black uniform. Johnny Cash's, you weren't allowed to roll those up, even though you're.
The Navy has too many uniforms.
Not so much anymore, because they've actually trimmed it down. It's still the seasonal dress uniform. There's one office working uniform, and they've gone to the camouflage utility uniform instead of the dungarees. But they did bring back the coveralls, which to me makes a lot of fucking sense. Which essentially the coveralls are, in universe comparison, go all the way right. Oh, no, bring that image back up.
Yep, I'm pulling it back up.
So that crewman uniform there to the right, and even the engineering specific one to the left of it, those two uniforms are essentially the Star Trek version of the coveralls. You have the standard coverall to the right, and then you have the flame retardant coverall to the left. Which is, and now that uniform, that was like wearing pajamas. But here's the thing. They were so fucking comfortable.
They were great underway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the only time I wore my utilities was when I actually had to, due to inspection or other reason going somewhere else on base. But if I was only going into the workspace, if I was only going into the shop, I was wearing the coveralls. Because...
Yeah, the Army has the same thing for tracked vehicles. It's a one piece that was comfortable as hell and flame retardant.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing that we would wear to the field for track vehicles.
What is this supposed to be?
It was a proposed alternate fan uniform for STO.
Yeah.
All right. The problem with Orion is that it is very German. Not too tight. Oh. But anyways, so with all of that and the couple interruptions from work, and now with the bitches wanting their dinner, because it is almost that time, we are going to go ahead and close this. Oh, what's this?
Just so people can see.
Oh, okay, showing the... Okay, yeah. Oh,
of course they had to be officers, you know.
Yeah. But... there we go. Which, actually, I still have a couple sets of mine somewhere. But
So
actually, here is something that the sub-fleet was able to do that surface fleet we were not. The American flag on the sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
We did not do that. We still had the rank on the collar, still had the warfare tapes on, and you optional could do the shipper command you were on the opposing breast pocket. And actually, some people did that because some Flightline workers did that because the pockets had to be stitched closed anyways. And generally, when you put that patch on the pocket, the seamstresses didn't keep the pocket functional, so they just went right through it. How? What the? Why?
I don't know. I just thought you would enjoy it, though.
Yeah, she's cute, but why?
Well, I'm sure there's a suggestive meaning behind the butter bars on her.
Okay, so Jared, I just did something terrible.
Do tell.
Wait a second, I'm gonna send it to you via Discord. Where's my fucking Discord? Oh, there we go. Too many monitors. I actually don't find my stuff anymore.
Wow. And it fucking works, too.
I told you, didn't I?
Oh, okay, yeah, you're gonna have to show that.
Wait a second.
Why can I see someone wanting that and to set it as their background is even just a joke?
It's missing data.
Oh, technically, if you wanted, you can put all of them down towards the berm at the bottom of the hill.
I mean, yeah, I could if I wanted to.
Oh, I was kind of going for a double pun there. Missing data.
Nice. But with that, for everyone who's shown up to this, thank you. We enjoy it, and we look forward to the next episode of Nerding Out. And, of course, I think we're looking at the third weekend in June again as well.
Okay.
Actually, let me take a look, because... Oh. Okay. Ooh.
I can adjust my schedule if you need me to.
You know what? We will talk in off air on the background if we want to do it the 8th or 15th. So that we are signing off. Thank you for coming along. If you're not already subscribed to the other panel members, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Hey, even I subscribed to Thoughts by Jay Brown last week.
Oh, Kristen subscribed to me today during the show, so.
Nice. Well, we will see you all next time.